Hello, everyone. We welcome you to the capital city of the Buckeye State, Columbus, Ohio, as we get set for another presentation of women's basketball here on BTN. Hello again, everyone. Alongside the former Buckeye George Reese, I'm Charlie Danis. So glad that we could have you along for the ride. And George, we got ourselves a pretty good matchup here tonight. Both teams with exceptional guards.
Right. If you look at Ohio State's Buckeyes, Amherst Alston, and then you look at kind of like the general, Kelly Minato, they're both coming out averaging over 18 points a game, and they go as their team goes.
Both these teams trying to get back into the win column. They suffered losses earlier in the week, so they'll try to get back on the winning side of things. The tip is up, and it is won by Army. The Black Knights enter tonight's game with an overall record of 7-2. They're coming off of a loss to Penn back on Wednesday night, lost 67-57 to the Quakers.
Look for both teams to come out and try to erase that, their defeats from last week.
Scullion able to come away with the rebound, pushing it. Now she'll give it back out to Austin.
Nice pass.
Very nice pass inside to Reese Moore, and the Buckeyes are able to get back on the board. That loss to Penn, by the way, for Army, that broke a 7-game winning streak for the Black Knights, and that was 7-game winning streak began after a season-opening loss to St. Francis of New York. So they haven't really experienced losing all that much so far during the 2013-2014 campaign. We have our first foul of the game. Amherst Alston is the one that is called for the foul. And one thing to keep an eye on in this game, George, the hand-checking rules.
Right.
A lot of new fouls being called this year, as it looks like Army will turn the ball over and the Buckeyes will get the ball right back. And that's going to be really pivotal this season, not only in the women's game but the men's game as well. Not a lot of hand-checking going on.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I think all schools in the NCAA are feeling that with a lot of foul calls being called this year, with them trying to set the tone defensively with the hand-checking on the perimeter.
Buckeyes out to an early 2-0 lead. Kraft measures up a three, and that will be missed. But Ellerby is able to come away with the offensive rebound. Good job by the senior from Teaneck, New Jersey, as she's able to give her team another offensive possession.
And like we always talked about, she brings that. She's starting now. Good shot by Scullion. She's starting now today, but she's always providing that energy and getting second shot opportunities for the Lady Buckeyes.
Trying to feed it ahead to Schretzman, and she is fouled on the inside, so that'll be another foul on the Buckeyes, who hold an early 5-0 lead over Army.
That's something definitely we got to monitor because, like you said, Lady Buckeyes, their lack of depth, can't have too many fouls going on. So this will be a free throw attempt. The first one is good. Olivia Schretzman, and she is a young lady from the state of Ohio, originally from Dayton. I would imagine a lot of people from that area in attendance here tonight to cheer her on. When we were going back and forth to the room, her mother and her family came out and they were yelling for her in the back alley. I was like, okay, she has a fan club here today.
Buckeyes back on offense now. Amy Scullion trying to drive the lane, but she'll have to give it back out to Austin, who will drive and not able to get the shooter's roll, as they like to say. Army will try to push the ball on offense as they get back into their half-court offense.
I don't mind that shot. When Amherst is aggressive, she's going to get good looks. She just has to finish. Pump fake travel.
That will be a traveling violation on the Black Knights here in the early going. They trail Ohio State 5-2, just underway here at the Jerome Schottenstein Center.
And like yesterday at practice when we talked to Coach McGuff, he's talking about the different teams with their different defenses, and you can see they're in a box and one sort of with somebody shadowing Amherst Alston.
Scullion able to come away with the offensive rebound, battle for the loose ball, and it will go out of bounds and will go back to Army. Now, Ohio State, we talked about how Army is trying to get back on the winning side of things. The same can be said for the Buckeyes. They were down by as much as 18 in their game against Gonzaga on Sunday afternoon, but they were somehow able to rally from that deficit. The lead would change a bunch of times as Alston was able to get to the hoop that time. The lead changed hands 4 times in the last 40 seconds in that game against the Bulldogs, but it was Shaniqua Niles of Gonzaga who hit the game-winning jumper at the buzzer. That allowed Gonzaga to come away with a 59-58 victory over the Buckeyes. Ohio State 6-5 overall on the season. Jumper on the way, and that one is good. That's Kelsey Minato, and a timeout is going to be called by head coach McGuff.
Coach McGuff doesn't like the lack of communication on the defensive, and they're giving up wide open three-pointers. That's been an area of concern with the Lady Buckeyes is three-point defense.
It's been tough sledding for Coach McGuff so far this season. As we talked about, coming off of a loss against Gonzaga. And, George, it's really been a tough schedule for Ohio State so far. In fact, coming into this game, they had the strongest strength of schedule among women's basketball teams at the Division I-A level. They've had to take on opponents like Gonzaga, Georgia, Connecticut. We're talking teams that perennially make the NCAA tournament.
Right, you got to look at it as pros and cons. I mean, the cons of it is sometimes your team can lack confidence and take a lot of early losses, but the pros of it is later on in the year you're battle tested and you're ready for the NCAA tournament.
What makes this situation even more unique is the fact that you have a first-year coach in Kevin McGuff trying to install his system. As that jumper by Kraft is off, it'll go out of bounds. Scullion trying to save the rebound, but it'll be Black Knight ball.
You like the activity on the offensive glass early on. You just got to secure it and let the Lady Buckeyes get our next possession.
As I was saying, it's an interesting situation. Coach McGuff coming in here his first year, and as we watched in practice yesterday, George, they really like to push the ball. He is trying to make his team go up and down the floor, score in bunches.
Right. If you look at it, you want to get easy buckets, and you look at everybody's being aggressive and trying to gap and penetrate. It's kind of like a read and react. So anytime you get that, that's, you can get easy buckets off of drives, draws, and penetration.
Ohio State leading Army 7-5, 16.5 to go. Bucket won't go, but a foul is going to be called yet again. And that has been a problem for Ohio State this season, George. One player that has had definite foul trouble this season has been to Reese Moore. And she is what we like to call the glue of this Buckeye team. When she's on the bench, they really miss her on the floor.
You notice Emrys has a lot of pressure on her when Danis is not on the floor because she's really the only one that can create a shot. When Danis is not in foul trouble, she's that go-to post player that we need.
Minato at the free throw line, and she's able to convert both free throws. She rarely misses. In fact, coming into this game, she is averaging 95% at the free throw line. That's pretty darn good.
Like we like to call easy money. Easy money at the free throw line. Things that got him knocked him down. There's no defense.
Three-pointer on the way for Scullion, but she was not able to hit that one. So the Black Knights are able to come away with the rebound. They're giving the Buckeyes an early battle here as Ohio State leads Army 7-6. We're approaching 16 minutes to go here in the first half.
Tough shot.
Shot on the way.
Defense by Moore.
As Alston is able to come away with the rebound. She's trying to push it. Gives it off to Ellerby. Jumper on the way for Moore. That one's no good. But Ellerby, as a lot of her Buckeye teammates have been tonight, George, they have been crashing the boards. They've been really doing a good job on the board so far.
That activity. Anytime you get second possessions, it's always good for your team. That's at least 4 or 5 offensive rebounds already.
Timeout on the floor. 15:57 to go here in the first half. Ohio State leading Army 7-6. You're watching women's basketball here on BTN.
Did you know that people who send text messages while driving are 23 times more likely to be in a crash? No texts worth dying for. You can wait. Take the pledge and join the movement. www.itcanwait.com. This message is brought to you by AT&T. Fans, don't forget to register for a chance to win a Buckeye prize pack. Entry forms can be found in the main concourse at the fan experience tables. Also, fans, if the Buckeyes score 60 or more points tonight, more McDonald's medium fry or apple slices at participating locations, courtesy of McDonald's, proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
We're back here in Columbus. Bruce Buckeye sitting right next to us, George, as Ohio State leads Army 7-6 with 15:57 to go here in the first half. And so far, George, what we've seen here tonight, close ball game, and the guards are kind of dictating the pace of the play here.
Right, they're trying to get easy buckets. Yeah, Reese Moore with the putback. Shot.
Yeah. Moore was able to convert. right there with that shot. Go ahead, George.
Amherst also is trying to look to go in transition as you see other guards, and it's like we're getting that activity on the offensive glass. So we'll see how both teams are kind of filling themselves out right now.
There's the guard matchup right there. Minato being guarded by Alston, the sophomore from Canton, Ohio. Minato will let loose a three and hits. She hits 44% from that part of the floor, George, and she's having a spectacular year. Last year, she became the first women's basketball player to win Patriot League Rookie of the Year and Player of the Year.
Oh, wow.
And she's only a sophomore.
That's the last person you want to leave wide open looks to. It's the last person.
So this game is tied at 9 apiece. Approaching 15 minutes to go here in the first half. Charlie Danis and George Reese bringing you all the action here from Value City Arena tonight. Buckeyes looking for their 7th win of the Young 2013-2014 campaign. Meanwhile, Army looking for its 8th win of the 2013-2014 season. They try to get the ball inside to Schretzman, but a traveling violation is going to be called on Jen Hazlett, the senior from Syracuse, Utah.
Ran out of room there. Amherst with the nice little dig, as we call it, where you just help defense on the post. When she turns her back, result in a travel.
So Alston will bring the ball up for Ohio State. She's one of the top scorers in the Big Ten. Currently ranked number 6 in the conference as Ferguson off with that jump shot. Another offensive rebound, however, but the Buckeyes are not able to convert. Now a scramble for the loose ball. It's fed ahead to Minato. And she will slow things up. She'll give it to Hazlett. Hazlett trying to drive, and she's able to finish with the left hand. Nice drive that time by Hazlett to the rim.
Good move. It's like what we call in basketball a half of a Euro step, where she split the double team, but just in side step, nice bucket.
Army was picked to finish 2nd in the Patriot League behind Navy. Ferguson trying to get it inside to Moore, but wasn't able to navigate through that traffic as Hazlett comes away with the loose ball. So Army will go back on offense. Minato comes into this game averaging 18.5 points per game. She'll let loose another 3, and she's not able to get it to go, but the offensive rebound and the putback is there for Schretzman.
Raven kind of gave her early Christmas gift by not securing that rebound, and she got the easy bucket by Schretzman.
So the Buckeyes are going to try to look for a response right here as they trail Army 13-9 with under 13.5 minutes to go here in the first half. Ball given off to Alston. She'll let loose a jumper, but that one is off as Minato comes away with the defensive rebound. Buckeyes seem to be a little flustered here in the early going, George.
Like I mentioned before, they're going to the box and one, and you can see the defender, Amherst Austin, is not even looking for help defense, so they're trying to keep the ball out of her hands early.
Minato nails another three-pointer, and a timeout, another timeout I should say, is taken by Ohio State here in the early going. We'll keep it right here for the time being. 13-10 to go here in the first half. Ohio State now trails Army 16-9. Now, Minato, we've been talking about how great a scorer she is, and obviously a lot of these players at Army have military connections. I was looking over Miss Minato's biography, and it's really interesting, George. Minato had a great-grandfather who served in World War I. She had a grandfather who served in World War II. And I was talking with their SID before tonight's game. They have a rule at West Point. When you go to Army, you either have to be a varsity athlete or you have to play a club sport. That is a requirement when you go to West Point. So I find that interesting. Not only do you have to be involved with all the daily things that they have to do military-wise, preparing the barracks and such, but also sports play a really important role up there at West Point.
I think in any institution, I think the sports adds more camaraderie and it keeps you more disciplined as far as athletics go. So it's definitely a good rule that they have over there in Army.
And Army has definitely had a very good track record when it comes to producing sporting legends. For one thing, the school has produced 3 Heisman Trophy winners, Doc Blanchard, Glenn Davis, and Pete Dawkins. That's tied for 5th most in Division I college football. And it's even more impressive the kind of coaches that have come out of West Point. Robert Nealon, he went on to great fame as the head football coach for Tennessee. Earl Red Blake, he won 3 national championships there at Army. One of his assistants was Vince Lombardi, pretty good coach if I do say so myself. Yeah, he did some good work with the Green Bay Packers back in the day. And how about this?
How about this for basketball tradition? They had the third winningest and the winningest D1 men's basketball coach strolling their sidelines. Bob Knight was there from 1965 to 1971, and a former player of his, a guy by the name of Mike Krzyzewski. He coached at Army from 1975 to 1980 before going on to greener pastures at Duke. I mean, just a sensational tradition. That's definitely something that you can brag about to everybody.
Definitely. Leadership and discipline. The university, Army University can hang their hats on that. Leadership and discipline.
So we're back to action now. Buckeyes trail Army 16-9 with 12:56 to go in here in the first half. Ferguson lines up a three, not able to hit it, but there's another offensive rebound for Ohio State, trying to feed it inside to the 6'6" Lisa Blair. It's fumbled out of bounds, but the Buckeyes will maintain possession.
I'm pretty sure Coach McGuff is going to tell the ladies to step up, have confidence, and knock those open shots down because they're in a box and one, focusing more on Amherst, and they're getting good looks.
Danielle Failer checks in for the Black Knights. Amherst Alston will try to drive, not able to get any glass on that drive. Loose ball. Ellerby able to come away with it. Buckeyes maintain possession.
Anytime you're on defense and you're in the zone, you give up those offensive rebounds, and you can see Ohio State has over 7 or 8 of them already beginning in the first half.
Back outside to Ferguson. Buckeyes better get a shot up here. Under 5 on the shot clock. Ellerby with a jumper, and she's able to hit that. Anytime she gets time there on the floor, George, Ellerby is shown to be able to knock that shot down.
Right. You talk about you have your glue players, kind of like the Reese Moore. Then you have your energy. You know, insert them in the game, and they're going to provide energy for your team.
Ellerby, one of 4 seniors for this year's Buckeyes squad, a senior from Teaneck, New Jersey.
East Coast.
Back to Minato now as Army will try to whittle down the shot clock here. And Minato has gotten off to a good start, nailing a couple of three-pointers here in the early going. She's being hounded defensively, puts up a shot. That one not even close as Ferguson comes away with the rebound.
Good defensive possession by the Lady Buckeyes. Look for them to get some in transition.
Ferguson out to Kraft for 3. That one no good, but another offensive rebound as Ferguson comes away with it. She'll get it back out to Alston. If anything here in the early going, George, Ohio State's been giving itself plenty of second and third opportunities on the offensive side.
Right, they have to take advantage of that. Good shot by Ellerby. They have to take advantage of that because, like you said, they're focusing almost all their attention on Amherst, and they're giving up wide open shots, and they're not rotating right on the offensive glass.
Second straight jumper made by Ellerby here in the last minute or so. Ohio State trailing Army now by 3, 16-13. Coming up on 11 minutes to play here in the first half. Hazlett spots up a 3. That one no good. It will go out of bounds, and it will be Buckeye ball. There will be a timeout on the floor now. 10:59 to go here in the first half, and we got ourselves a good game here in Columbus as Army leads Ohio State 16-13. You're watching women's basketball here on BTN.
I'm a Buckeye for life. I'm a Buckeye for life because I'm a registered organ, eye, and tissue donor. Help me give hope to more than 121,000 Americans awaiting life-saving transplants. Become a Buckeye for life by registering as a donor today at lifelineofohio.org.
Hi, I'm Master Sergeant Jennings with the 371st Sustainment Brigade in Kuwait. I'd like to say hi to my family, my friends, and all OSU fans. Go Bucks!
Army leading Ohio State 16-13 with 10:59 to go here in the first half. As George and I were talking earlier on the broadcast, a rather unique situation for Ohio State. Of course, this is the first year that Kevin McGuff and his brand new coaching staff are here in Columbus, George, and he's had to put up with some roster difficulties on the onset of his Ohio State career. Wing player Shelby Honeycutt transferred Kalpana Beach. She tore her ACL for the second time in as many years. She's out for the season. And guard Malika Kennard, she's out tonight with a concussion. So that means that Ohio State's only afforded 9 healthy scholarship
players this evening against Army, as Kraft tries to go up for the drive that time, but she is denied. And we were talking with assistant coach Patrick Klein about maybe with not so much depth on the bench that there might be a little bit of an issue with the players getting worn out, but he and the rest of the coaching staff seem pretty confident that the Buckeyes are going to be able to battle through that.
You know, that's what they say the strength and conditioning coaches are for. And I think these young ladies have been working hard on the field and on the track to get in good shape, and he feels that they're not tired. You know, they're young college kids that's out here, and they're definitely in shape for the long haul.
That last basket made by Olivia Schretzman, the Dayton native. 6 points so far for the Ohio native so far. Buckeyes will now go back on offense. They've really been helped on offense by the offensive rebound as Kraft nails a three. That is Kate Kraft, the sister of Buckeye do-it-all player Aaron Kraft. And she's a pretty good baller herself. Before she came to Ohio State, she was the Ohio High School Division III Player of the Year. Good basketball genes in the Kraft family, apparently, George.
Family lineage. I would love to be at those family reunions and see those one-on-one battles, wouldn't you?
Those would be very entertaining, let me just tell you. Buckeyes come away with the loose ball. Army still with a 2-point lead. It's been a long time since Ohio State has had a lead in this ball game, as Ferguson was trying to get it to Blair. Now, Lisa Blair, 6'6", redshirt freshman from Brooklyn, New York, and obviously, George, she has the length, good defensive player, but still a work in progress offensively, not just receiving passes on the inside, but also finishing at the rim.
I just think her timing is off. You know, sometimes when you're on an elite D1 level like the Ohio State Buckeyes, your timing is off and the game is just a little bit too fast for you. And just that's what experience comes in. So the more minutes she plays, I think the better her timing and the better her finishing will be.
So Army will now go back on offense. They still hold a 2-point lead over Ohio State, 18-16 with just under 9 minutes to play. Minato, she's been a spark plug for the girls from West Point here tonight. She'll let loose a three and not able to get it to go, but she's able to come away with the offensive rebound. And I don't know about that, George, but if you're a coach, kind of a little bit of lackadaisical on the rebounding then right there. Minato was able to easily get that loose ball.
They're in the zone too, and like we talked about before, that's kind of the cons of being in that zone. You give up rebounding positioning, but that was just a lack of effort on that last possession.
Scully unable to come away with the defensive rebound as the Buckeyes look to regain the lead in this ball game. So Ferguson will give it off to Scully on, now swing it on over to Ellerby. Trying to get it inside, and Moore loses it out of bounds. Close play that time. The crowd here at the arena does not agree, although they are a partisan crowd towards the Buckeyes. But yet another turnover for Ohio State, giving Army another offensive possession that time. It's been kind of hard for the Buckeyes to penetrate on the inside.
Right, because Army's packing it in because they know they have one of the rare shooters in Amherst. Like we talked about, she's getting all the attention. Good shot.
Basket made by Brianna Johnson, the sophomore from Fontana, California, as you would expect. Out of school like Army, they have a whole bunch of girls from across the United States. A bunch of girls from California, young ladies from the Carolinas and such. Minato, she's also a California native from West Huntington Beach, California, as Ferguson comes away with a defensive rebound.
This is where she usually likes to go in transition when she gets the rebounding, showing her versatility.
Alston spots up a three, but that one is short. She is boxed out by Johnson. So far, the Buckeyes having a hard time getting anything going from the three-point line. They're now 1 of 9 from beyond the arc.
That's what happens when your teammates don't step up and knock down those open shots. The defense can pack it in.
So timeout on the floor at 7:17 here in the first half. Army still with a lead over Ohio State, 20-16 here at Value City Arena. We're watching women's basketball here on BTN.
Visit Florida.com and also be sure to visit orangebowl.org for great rates on all of your travel needs. Hey Buckeye fans, it's now time for the Meyer Fan of the Game. Are you the most spirited fan in the arena tonight? If so, get up on your feet and make some noise. You can win a $25 Meyer gift card for showing up your Buckeye pride. Buckeye fans, let me hear you! representative will visit your seat shortly to award your prize. Let's go, Bucks!
We're back here in Columbus, 7:17 to go here in the first half. It is the Army Black Knights leading the Ohio State Buckeyes by a score of 20-16. Charlie Danis and George Reese bringing you the action from Columbus. Now the Buckeyes are trying to get their first lead in what has seemed like ages. They were able to jump out to an early 5-0 lead, but since then it has been Army here in the first half. Foul called on the inside as the Buckeyes will maintain possession on offense. That's only the second team foul on Army. 3 personal fouls on Ohio State so far here in the first half. Allison trying to inbound it, and she'll get it into Kraft. Kraft will now try to drive. Gets it into Moore, and a foul is going to be called, but even with that foul, it's been tough sledding for the Ohio State Bigs tonight.
They haven't been able to extend the defense, and in result, they'll be able to pack it in to Reese Moore. I think as you see Ohio State knocking down more three-pointers, the defense will extend out more and give more operating room for Reese Moore.
It's been a tough first half offensively for Ohio State as Hazlett checks out of the ball game for Army. Amy Ortner, the sophomore from Slaytonton, Pennsylvania, checks back in for the Black Knights. Nice inside pass by Moore, but it was cut off. Allison throws it back out to Kraft. Buckeyes trying to get traction on offense. They've only shot 30% from the floor so far. And that will help as Ellaby is able to convert at close range.
Army just seems a little bit more active on the defensive end. It's kind of confusing the Lady Buckeyes on offense.
Black Knights will go back on offense now as we're under 6.5 to play. Army leading Ohio State 20-18. These are two teams that are wanting to get back on the winning side of things. Army losing to Penn earlier in the week. Ohio State losing to Gonzaga. There goes Allison, and she's able to get the blocking foul, and she's able to score.
There it is. A popular move nowadays is that Euro step. Textbook Euro step by Amaris Austin to get the and one.
So she will have an opportunity to try to convert the three-point play. As we were talking about, one of the top scorers in the Big Ten, Amaris Austin, is currently ranked 6th in the Big Ten, averaging 18 points per game. It's Rachel Banham of Minnesota who's your leading scorer in the Big Ten. She's been having a fantastic season for the Golden Gophers, 22.4 points per game. And Austin, along with Banham, those are two young ladies that are located in the top 3 in three-point shooting percentage in the Big Ten Conference. So those are two of the top guards that the Big Ten has to offer, as Army's able to come away with a drive. Amy Ortner able to convert for the Black Knights.
With the lefty layup.
Close ball game here in Columbus. Army leading Ohio State 22-21. Approaching 5.5 minutes to play here in the first half. Kraft trying to decide what to do with the basketball. Still on the perimeter, shoots a 3. That one is no good, but another offensive rebound as Moore is able to come away with it. Another fresh shot clock for the Buckeyes, and a foul is going to be called on the floor. That will be the 4th personal team foul on Army. Ortner will be called for the foul.
Lady Buckeyes getting looks at the rim. They just got to step up, have confidence, get your footwork right, and knock down an open shot.
One thing's for sure, the offensive rebounds have definitely kept the Buckeyes in this game. Otherwise, without those offensive rebounds, it'd be tough sledding for the Buckeyes going forward.
Absolutely right.
Kraft trying to drive inside, and she's able to score with the right hand. Nice move by the sophomore from Findlay, Ohio.
She didn't settle and take the three-pointer and just made something happen off the dribble.
Coach McGuff and his coaching staff has been driving home the point. Drive to the paint, get a piece of the paint. That's what we often hear assistant coach Mark Mitchell talk about. And that was a prime example right there with Kraft scoring the bucket. But the Black Knights from West Point, they're able to come away with a scoring position as well, as they are able to go back up by 1. Tight ball game here. Army leading Ohio State 24-23 with 4.5 minutes to play here in the first half. Scullion trying to drive, and a blocking foul
is going to be called in that particular spot. Again, another foul on Ortner.
Lady Buckeyes. But to your earlier point, we're talking about the penetration. It makes the defense work. Anytime you gap in the defense and you always penetrate, it makes the defense shift. And next thing you know, you have a wide open shot off of 2 passes.
Because of the foul trouble by Ortner, it is Stephanie Geyer, the freshman from Loomis, California, who steps in to the lineup for the Black Knights. But a turnover here by Ohio State. That will give the ball back to Army with 4:29 to go here in the first half. Army leading Ohio State 24-23. This is only the third meeting between both of these schools. Ohio State 2-0 all time. First meeting between both these schools since 2008 as Minato lines up a 3, but that one is no good as Moore comes away with a rebound. Army is 2-5 all time against Big Ten foes. Both of those 2 wins coming against Indiana in the late 1970s. Amherst Alston once again showing that scoring prowess with a kiss off the glass.
Pretty much of a storied history with Army and Ohio State, huh?
Not a lot of matchups to say so between both of these schools. This is an Army squad, though, that really has blossomed under head coach Dave McGarity these last couple of years as Reese Moore comes away with the rebound. This team, one of the top contenders in the Patriot League, or at least is expected to contend in the Patriot League. As we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, they're expected to finish second behind Navy. Amy Scolion with a jumper. That one is no good. Rebound corralled by Brianna Johnson.
She don't mind that look. She stepped up with confidence. It just didn't go down.
So Johnson now with the basketball, trying to drive against Scolion. We're having technical difficulties right now here in Columbus. As soon as we get things situated, we'll get you back here. Okay. Welcome back to Ohio State. We got a tight ball game here in Columbus. Ohio State leading Army 25-24 with 2:45 to go here in the first half. Alongside George Reese, the former Buckeye, I'm Charlie Danis. So glad that we could have you along for the ride as we will now go to a timeout on the floor. 2:45 to go here in the first half. Again, Ohio State leading Army 25-24. You're listening or watching women's basketball here on BTN.
With the Tansky Toyota Mini Ball Blaster. Hands up on your feet and make some noise!
We're back here in Columbus, Ohio. Ohio State leading Army 25-24 with 2:45 to go here in the first half. Somewhere in the middle of that huddle is first-year Ohio State head coach Kevin McGuff. Again, this is his first season here in Columbus, and a long and winding road for the Hamilton, Ohio native. First started off as a graduate assistant/assistant coach at Miami of Ohio, was a longtime assistant coach at Notre Dame. In fact, he was part of that 2001 national championship team, a key assistant under legendary coach Muffet McGraw. Head coaching stints at Xavier and Washington, and now he's finally back in the Buckeye State. And as we've been talking about, George, Coach McGuff comes with the reputation of having teams that are able to spread the floor, able to penetrate the lane so far. And it's been a work in progress. Obviously, as a first-year head coach, you don't necessarily have, quote-unquote, your players.
Right.
But the Buckeyes will be bringing in what has been said, a very talented recruiting class next season. In fact, one of those top recruits that he'll be bringing to Columbus is two daughters of assistant coach Mark Mitchell, Chelsea and Kelsey, coming up from Cincinnati. But I think ultimately a lot of people in Columbus are thinking that this hire by Coach McGuff is going to end up being a good hire again. Coach McGuff in his first season, and he takes over for Jim Foster, who had really built up a really big tradition of winning here in Columbus over the last couple seasons.
I mean, you hit it right on the head. You said brighter days are ahead, and Coach McGuff comes in with that recruiting, his knack for recruiting. And this class that we have coming in next year is definitely going to add depth to this Lady Buckeye team for the next season.
Three-pointer on the way. That one is no good. Army has really gone cold from the arc. In fact, both teams have really struggled from downtown this evening. Buckeyes clinging to a 3-point lead over Army.
Army's just packing it in and daring them to shoot. Step up and knock it down.
Ferguson trying to navigate her way through the Army defense, gives it off to Kraft. Shot clock now down to 5, but now there's a loose ball on the floor, and a jump ball is going to be called. The ball will be given to Army. It's really been tough sledding for Ohio State in terms of trying to get something going on the inside, but luckily their big scoring threat, Amherst Alston, has been coming through. 7 first-half points for the sophomore from Canton, Ohio. And this has been a season where Alston has really improved, not only as a scorer, but a leader, George. And you can clearly see that with how much scoring prowess she has had in this season so far. An improvement of 11.5 points from her freshman year to her sophomore year. Mighty impressive.
Right. She's growing up right before our eyes. She has a lot of responsibility offensively for this Lady Buckeye team, and she's definitely taking on the challenge.
That shot was nowhere even close, but Minato gets a chance with a three-pointer. That one is no good as Ferguson comes away with the rebound. So the shooting woes for the Black Knights from beyond the arc continue. Ferguson able to get that shot to go. A little bump in the lane, and she is able to get it to go.
That's one of her strong points. She gets that rebound, and she wants to go coast to coast before the defense sets up and try to get an easy bucket.
Ferguson, a junior from right here in Columbus, went to nearby Afrocentric High School.
City League.
Of course, George, you are former Columbus native as well. And looking at Ferguson, we were talking about this during practices. Ellerby comes away with the steal. You can classify Ferguson as a power guard. She can do a multitude of things on the offensive side of the ball.
Like they try to say sometimes slash, or you just put her out there and let her play. She's a basketball player. And those are people that you got to have on your team that's be able to do multiple things on the court.
Well, she was trying to slash her way to the basket that time, but Army is able to come away with a turnover. That defense continues to be key for the Black Knights here in the early going as we are under 30 seconds to play. Offensive putback, good for the Black Knights. Ohio State leading Army 30-26. Shot clock is off, so the Buckeyes will now try to hold for the last shot here in the first half. And I would imagine that somehow, some way, the ball is going to end up in the hands of Alston. Kick out to Kraft for 3. That one no good. Ferguson trying to get the offensive rebound. And Army won't be able to get a shot off, as Minato was not able to get that shot to go at the buzzer. We have reached halftime here in Columbus. Ohio State leading Army by a score of 30-26. You're watching women's basketball here on BTN.
Ladies and gentlemen, for halftime entertainment tonight, please welcome the Pickerington Youth Athletics Association. Direct your attention to the video board for the Nationwide Insurance scores around the nation.
We're back here in Columbus, tied at 34 between Army and Ohio State. Now, as we've been talking about, this is the first year for Coach McGuff, and there you see assistant coach Mark Mitchell, former successful high school basketball coach now in the Cincinnati area, won a high school championship with Taft High School a couple of years ago. Now, the reason that we're mentioning Coach Mitchell tonight, big news in terms of recruiting for the Buckeyes. Both of his daughters, Chelsea and Kelsey Mitchell, who currently attend Princeton High School down in Cincinnati, they'll be coming to Columbus. Kelsey, rated one of the top point guards in the country, a big recruiting find. She will be part of the first recruiting class under the McGuff era. And they thought it ought to be interesting. Very good player coming to Columbus next season, George. And I got to tell you, watching Coach Mitchell during practice, that's pretty fun as well.
Right. I'm looking forward to that backcourt tandem of Amherst Austin and Kelsey Mitchell next year. Someone that can maybe take some of the ball handling responsibility off of Amherst. Maybe Amherst can slide to the 2 and be, and get some more buckets that way.
It's a ballyhooed recruiting class, that's for sure. In fact, according to ESPNW Hoops Girls, their class rankings, is rated the 7th best class in the country. Meanwhile, this current set of Buckeyes, they are locked in a close affair here with Army. The Black Knights just taking a 36-34 lead with just under 15 minutes to play here. The Buckeyes have been extremely cold to start the second half, only shooting barely under 29% from the field, 28.6 to be more specific. As Adams not able to convert there. It's weird to see Ashley Adams come off the bench for Ohio State. She's been a starter for much of her career here in Columbus, as the rebound is corralled by Ferguson. Hazlett tried to come away with the loose ball that time, fed ahead to Alston, but Alston's pass is tipped. That was a tip by Daniel Failer, the freshman from Post Falls, Idaho. And so the Black Knights are able to get the ball back after a series of sloppy plays on the basketball court.
Got to hold those turnovers. That's an extra possession, and then you give it back to the defense. It's a wasted possession.
And as we've seen during much of the night, George, Army whittling down the clock. Unfortunately, and this goes for both teams, they have been ice cold from downtown.
Coach McGuff mentioned that to us. He said Army is going to be disciplined, and they're going to be shooting late in the shot clocks, and that's what you're seeing here.
Other than Minato, the Black Knights haven't been able to have a good threat from beyond the arc tonight. Minato has been carrying the offensive load. She'll get another crack here on offense as she attempts to drive, but she'll have to kick it back out. They'll now go inside to Schertzman. And Schertzman gets blocked that time. Nice defensive play by Ellerby.
Ellerby played behind, and when she tried to make the turnaround shot, good timing and got a piece of the ball.
So now Alston will walk it up as the Buckeyes go into their half-court offense. Ferguson from the arc, and that one is no good. Again, the three-point struggles continue for Ohio State. A couple substitutions coming on the floor now as Scolion will check in for the Buckeyes, and coming in for the Black Knights, that would be Gene Parker, a sophomore from Portland, Oregon.
It's tough. Sometimes you don't take the shot you're supposed to take, and then you rush the next one, and then you miss it. Next thing you know, you don't want to shoot the third one. So now it's kind of like a mental challenge when you're shooting those wide open shots for Reagan Ferguson.
They'll now go on the inside. Parker not able to convert. And Kraft able to come away with the rebound, fed ahead to Ferguson, lost it momentarily, but able to regain possession. Ferguson does. Now over to Kraft, who was not able to get enough glass on that drive. Loose ball squirts around a little bit, and Minato comes away with the offensive rebound. So the offensive struggles continue for an Ohio State club that has had trouble getting the ball in the basket as of late. Now, you can attribute it to all the tough competition that they have been going up against. But the fact of the matter is, George, when they have trouble scoring the basketball, it usually leads to a loss. In fact, when you look at the points totals for both teams in the wins, they only average 70 points in wins, but only 51 points in losses. We'll take a timeout here in Columbus. 12:27 to go here in the second half. Ohio State trailing Army 36-44. You're listening to women's basketball here on BTN.
Hi, my name is Sergeant First Class Mr. Tanner from 371st Sustainment Brigade, Camp Air John Kuwait. Just wanted to get a shout out to all my friends and family. Go Bucks!
All right, Buckeye fans, heads up. Get up on your feet and make some noise. The Spirit Squad and Buddhists are tossing out T-shirts to the loudest fans. Buckeye fans, make some noise.
The Black Knights of Army clinging to a 2-point lead over Ohio State with under 12 and a half minutes to play here in the second half. The head coach for Army, that would happen to be Dave McGarity. He is in his 8th season at the helm for the Black Knights. He was named the Patriot League Coach of the Year in 2012 to 2013. And a rather remarkable story in terms of Coach McGarity. He was the one who took over for former Army coach Maggie Dixon, who died tragically of a heart ailment back in April of 2006. And what does McGarity do? He leads Army to a very impressive 24-10 record, the most wins in a single season by the Army Black Knights women's basketball program. Of course, we already mentioned that he was Patriot League Coach of the Year. He has really done a nice job with this Army program, George, over the last couple of seasons. But I can't imagine how hard it was to take over a program where you lose your head coach so suddenly. That had to be a challenge.
Hey, as they say, that's just a great testament to that program, having leaders to back up other leaders, you know, stepping in after the tragic death of the head coach and like you said, leading them to their most wins in program history.
In fact, he's only 4 wins away from passing Lynn Chiavaro for most wins all time at West Point. Foul on the floor once again called. And the good news in this game anyway, we haven't had a foul fest because of the new hand-checking violations. This game has been moving along rather swimmingly. 11:52 to go here in the second half. Ohio State still trailing Army. They trail the Black Knights 38-34 here in Columbus. You're watching women's basketball here on BTN.
Back here in Columbus, Army with a 4-point lead over Ohio State as we're just under 12 minutes to play here in the second half. Now, George, early on in the broadcast, we were talking about some notable athletic legends that have come out of Army over the last few years. Basketball coaches such as Mike Krzyzewski and Bob Knight. Football stars, the 3 Heisman Trophy winners from the glory years during the 40s and the 50s. As a foul is called down there in the lane. So Raven Ferguson will now go to the free throw line for Ohio State. Couldn't pass up this cool fact that I figured out about Army. Now, obviously, there have been some great generals that have served our country, that have been at West Point: Pershing, Schwarzkopf, MacArthur,
Right.
Eisenhower, just to name a few. Well, George S. Patton was a great athlete in his own right. He finished 5th in the modern pentathlon while participating in the 1912 Summer Olympic Games in Stockholm, Sweden. Wow. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the pentathlon, that's an Olympic event that involves shooting, swimming, equestrian, fencing, and cross-country running. It's a competition that's spread out across 5 days, ending with the cross-country race. That would be the final event. And this will be a 30-second timeout. So here's what I propose. At the next Summer Olympics, why don't we become like a tandem or something like that? I was an equestrian back in the day, so I can take care of the horseback riding part. Okay. You do everything else.
I do everything else.
You're the athlete. You got the better stamina. You do everything else.
General George Reese. That's how we do it. Hey, that's what teams are for.
But think about that for just a second. One of the generals was once an Olympic athlete. I mean, just couldn't pass up that little factoid. They're not just about serving our country.
Right.
These are dedicated athletes up at West Point, and of course we always thank the men and women who serve in our armed forces for what they do, for the lengths that they go to protect this great country of ours.
Exactly.
God bless those.
God bless them. General Patton got tired of all the events and wanted to lead our country, huh?
He played a pivotal role in World War II, that's for sure.
Right.
Back to this game now as Amherst Allison drives, not able to get the shot to go off the glass, but she'll be heading to the free throw line. Ohio State still trailing Army 38-35 with 11:14 to go in this ball game. So Allison will go to the free throw line, as we mentioned, going into this game, averaging 18 points per game. 6th best scoring average in the Big Ten as the Buckeyes trying to inch closer and closer in this game. Allison with the free throw, and that one is not able to rattle home. So it stays a 2-point advantage for the young ladies from West Point. Minato being guarded by Kraft. Trying to drive that time and scoring. That would be number 41, Brianna Johnson, the California native.
Ashley Adams a little bit late on that rotation. She could have had a block shot if she was there just a step sooner.
Ball back in the hands of Allison, who tries to get it to Adams. Nice interior passing, but not able to finish the deal at close range as that one rounds out for Ferguson.
Finishing has been a point of emphasis today for the Buckeyes, but luckily Army has really not had it going yet either.
Schretzman able to come away with a rebound, gives it to Minato for 3, and her hot streak from downtown continues. Kelsey Minato has just been hitting everything from downtown as of late.
Gotta love the toughness of the sophomore, just carrying the load offensively for Army.
She's now up over 20 points in this game for the Black Knights. Good rebound by Schretzman, able to set up Minato nicely along the wing. The Buckeyes have been trying their best, George, to get in Minato's face, but just like that little gnat, she always finds a way to get open along the arc, and she's certainly proven it here tonight.
You're right, but you notice a lot of her shots she's hitting. They're wide open shots. I think the Lady Buckeyes are just losing track with her. They're losing focus because we need to know where she's at any time on the floor.
Minato has really been the only dependable player from outside the arc for Army in this game. Meanwhile, Ohio State is trying to find answers on the offensive end. George, what should the Buckeyes do here?
I think the Buckeyes should just be a little bit more aggressive in transition because Army is doing an excellent job of packing in their defense in the half-court set. You know, just going back to their discipline on offensive defense. Just try to get easier buckets.
Alston gives it off to Ferguson. Thought about a three. Now she's driving towards the hoop and able to finish with the right hand.
Take what the defense gives you. If you don't have a wide open shot, a couple more dribble drives like we were talking about in practice, and see what happens.
As we talked about, Coach McGuff likes his team to penetrate the lane. They've been having a hard time against Army here this evening. Haven't been able to have a lot of shots close to the rim, the Buckeyes have. Three-pointer from the arc, and that one is good. So Johnson, finally some other player other than Minato is able to get in on the action from beyond the arc.
Those are back-breaking when a team just, they pass the ball, they move it around, and then under 10 shots, they execute to perfection and knock down a shot. That's definitely tough for defenses.
Army with their largest lead of this game, up by 8. And they come away with a loose ball. Right now, Ohio State can't get anything going within the lane. It seems like they are stoned at the point of attack anytime they try to drive towards the hoop.
Lady Buckeyes better be careful. This could be a back-breaking run by Army.
Again, Ohio State coming off of a heartbreaking loss to Gonzaga on Sunday. The last thing they want to do is drop another home contest, albeit against a good Army team, but at the same time, you want to be able to try to get back on the winning side of things. Ferguson not able to come up with the rebound, and it's Schretzman who is able to get the putback to go. It was in Ferguson's hands, but that's just been the kind of night for Ohio State so far, George. Close, but no cigar.
All right, sometimes they say Lady Luck is on your side. Schretzman with a couple of those possessions where just the rebound falls in her hand and she puts it back up. Excellent gift for your homecoming, huh?
Alston able to get the jumper to go, so now it's back down to an 8-point lead for Army. Buckeyes have to get something going here pretty quickly as we are approaching 8 minutes to go here in the second half. This crowd here at Value City Arena a little stunned.
Army taking their time on offense as usual.
Minato with another three-pointer. That one is off as she fell to the floor, but the Black Knights are able to come away with an offensive rebound.
Disciplined Army team is going to take it out and use all the seconds on a fresh new shot clock.
Shot clock under 18. They're going to go inside to Schretzman. Now it's back out to Minato. Now they're double teaming Minato. It's gotten to that point. Got to keep your eyes on Minato at all times if you're an Ohio State Buckeye. Now back out to Minato. Shot clock at 3. Nice block by Moore. Another block by Moore. And that leads to a shot clock violation. Tenacious defense by Reese Moore, who denied Minato not once, but twice with the right hand. 7:35 to go here in the second half. We'll take a timeout on the floor. Army leading Ohio State 48-40. You're watching women's basketball here on BTN.
There's two of them. Let me work. Hey. You see her knock her down? You should have seen when they threw the t-shirt right in this little section. It got real physical. Kids were jumping over everybody.
Buckeye fans, heads up. Show us how you rock out for our guitar camp.
January of 1979. That was the last time that Army defeated an opponent from the Big Ten Conference. It was a win over the Indiana Hoosiers. Tonight, Army leading Ohio State by 8 points here in Columbus. There you see the stats. Both teams shooting 35% from the field. Army's been slightly better at the three-point line. They have really been helped by an outstanding game by their sophomore guard, Kelsey Minato, who has 22 points in this game for the Black Knights. Meanwhile, Ohio State trying to get a response here on offense as Alston drivers through traffic. Kraft with a three. That one is no good. The three-point line has been a bugaboo for Ohio State this evening. 2 of 11 in the first half, and now 0 for 4 here in the second half. That is not a good percentage.
Sometimes you just got to, close your mind, act like you're in practice with nobody in the gym and knock it down. That's what you're seeing with the Buckeyes.
Schretzman drives towards the hoop. She was fouled going up, so she will now go to the free throw line. As we talked about early on in the broadcast, Olivia Schretzman, an Ohio native. A lot of friends and family in attendance tonight. Her father, a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army, a West Point graduate from 1989, also played on the football team. And her mother also attended West Point, was a 2-year member of the Army women's basketball team. All I can ask you is this, George. Could you imagine the look on her parents' faces if she said, I want to go to Navy? Their jaws would be on the floor thinking, what did you just say?
I think they would have had to sit down, had to discuss that decision.
Now listen, it's either West Point or bust.
I think the lieutenant would have had something to say about that one.
Buckeyes back on the offensive end. Swings it over to Kraft. Buckeyes down by 10. They need buckets, and that will certainly help as Martina Ellerby, who's quietly had a nice game for Ohio State tonight, is able to chip in with a jumper.
She's one of the rare ladies today that's just stepping up and knocking down and taking what the defense is giving to her. She's knocking that mid-range shot down, and like we talked about before, even if she doesn't make it, people are in position to get the offensive rebound.
Meanwhile, Ohio State looking for a defensive stop right here as they try to whittle down the ball. Ball was kicked by Alston.
Austin with the quick feet there.
So it will remain Army basketball. Black Knights up 50-42 with 6:08 to go here in the second half. Charlie Danis and George Reese bringing you all the action from Columbus. So glad that we could have you along for the ride tonight. And we have been treated to a good ball game here. Clearly, the Black Knights have brought their A game here tonight as we're currently being held up here on the floor. Ferguson will be checking in for Ohio State. She'll be taking the place of Kraft on the floor. And I have to believe, George, if Ohio State has any chance of getting back into this ball game, they need players like Ferguson to heat up and heat up quickly.
They're definitely going to have to pick up the pace a little bit. I anticipate them doing a little bit more pressure when they score on out-of-bounds plays and taking the ball full court pressure, try to speed up Army.
Minato being guarded by Scolion. Double team, and that will be a shot clock violation. So a good start in the right direction, at least if you're an Ohio State Buckeye, as the Scarlet and Gray will get the ball back on offense. Crowd trying to cheer on their local Buckeyes, trying to get them back into the game. Ferguson, open three, nails it.
There you go. Step up, knock it down.
Ferguson with a made three-pointer. It's now a 5-point advantage for Army. They lead Ohio State 50-45, under 5.5 to play here in the second half. Ortner loses the ball, and Moore is able to come away with a loose ball. As the momentum pendulum swinging in the direction of Ohio State. We shall see. Alston for three. That one no good, but Ferguson is able to come away with the offensive rebound. It looks like they're going to nail Minato with over the back in the lane.
Just a good play overall by Raven Ferguson. She penetrated. She found Amherst on the opposite side, and even when the shot went up, she went up to try to get the offensive rebound.
And that is now the 7th personal team foul on Army. So now the Buckeyes will have an opportunity to whittle away at this Army lead via the free throw line, Ferguson able to knock down her first free throw attempt. Usually pretty solid from the charity stripe. In fact, shoots 84% from that spot.
And she's one of the rare Lady Buckeyes who has a knack for getting fouled and getting to the line, so that's kind of half the battle.
Second free throw is no good, so she splits the pair. Buckeyes slowly but surely chiseling away at this Army lead. It's now a 4-point advantage for the Black Knights.
Look for Army to take this play deep into the shot clock before they get a shot up.
Ortner in the lane, now back out to Hazlett. Jumper on the way, and that is no good as Ferguson able to come away with a defensive rebound. Motoring up the court now. Puts up the left hand, and she was fouled on the
No, they're going to get Ferguson for an offensive call.
Ooh, I don't know about that one. We have to look at the replay.
So that is an inopportune foul called on Ferguson as Army gets the ball back on offense. Man, that has to be really frustrating. You're down by so many points. You're trying to get back into this game, and then all of a sudden a call like that comes your way. But the Buckeyes will get a second chance here as Alston driving the lane. Nice job by Alston navigating traffic.
Right. She took that transition avenue because the defense wasn't set, so she chose the time to be aggressive on transition offense.
So now the crowd really comes alive here at the arena. It's a 2-point edge for Army. Hazlett. And it's stolen away by Ferguson. Schertzman giving chase. He was fouled, but Ferguson not able to make the basket. Fortunately for her, she'll be going to the free throw line.
Under 5 minutes, every possession is key, and as you can see, Army is a little sloppy the last 2 or 3 possessions with the shot clock violations and turnovers, letting the Lady Buckeyes back in the game.
Another timeout on the floor. Things starting to tighten up here in Columbus. 3:52 to play here in the second half. Army 50, Ohio State 48. You're watching women's basketball here on BTN. Back here in Columbus, Army with a lead in this ball game. It has been back and forth. Right now the Black Knights on top of Ohio State, 50-48. There you see the upcoming schedule for the Buckeyes. Their next game will be at Cincinnati. A lot of snow in the forecast, Mr. Reese, as expected here in the state of Ohio around this time of year. Hopefully it won't hold up the Buckeyes on their way down to the Queen City.
That's that good old Ohio unpredictable weather. You know, today being, in the 50s, and then tomorrow we're expecting, storms kind of looking like the Detroit Lions and Philadelphia Eagle game from the past week in the NFL.
Wasn't that game wild?
Right.
It seemed like the entire East Coast was under a snow avalanche.
Right.
It was absolutely wild to watch as a fan. So Ohio State now trails Army by 1. Thanks to the made free throw, Hazlett will let loose a 3, and that will make the West Point bench explode.
Big shot and answer by Army.
This game's shaping up like the Gonzaga game on Sunday, in which it came down to the last second of the game. Missed shot. So it's now a 53-49 lead for Army. Minato, she has carried the torch offensively for the Black Knights, giving out instructions. She'll give it off to Hazlett, but now it's back in the hands of Minato. They'll now go inside to Ortner. Schretzman, and a charge is going to be called on Schretzman.
That was just a good defensive possession by the Buckeyes. They got their hands, they rotated to the shooters, and Reese Moore was there for that second line of rotation and able to take the charge.
It's been a solid game for Schretzman. The Dayton, Ohio native with 12 points and 7 rebounds. So a happy homecoming for the Ohio native, as we've been talking about. A lot of friends and family here in attendance. So now it's back to the Buckeyes. Scullion driving, gives it off. Foul is going to be called, and a charge is going to be called on Scullion. Wasn't able to not exactly control the body all that well going down the lane.
She was dribbling without a purpose. As they say, sometimes you're just dribbling just to dribble. Know what you're going to do when you put the ball on the floor, and then sometimes you won't have to worry about 2 or 3 defenders being in the way when you dribble.
And, of course, Ohio State trying to get back into this game as we're approaching 2.5 minutes to play. And, George, this is what they like to call crunch time. Every possession gets more and more important with every succession going up and down the court. And these are the types of moments where players, they either embrace the spotlight or they recede from the spotlight, so to speak.
Right. The leverage is definitely in Army's possession, especially them being as disciplined as they are. And a nice knockdown shot with 3 seconds on the shot clock.
Minato this time converts the shot from inside the arc.
Right.
She has had a whale of a game now, 27 points for Kelsey Minato.
She's just been carrying the load offensively for this Army team.
55-49 lead for Army. Kraft gives it off to Ferguson. It went off the hands of an Army player. Shot clock down to 11 for the Scarlet and Gray, who again are trying to rally late in the ball game. They came up short against Gonzaga, and they're trying their best to get back into this game as a foul is going to be called. Looks like against Army. So the Buckeyes will keep possession right here. And keep in mind too, George, the fouls have piled up for the Black Knights. In fact, that is the 9th personal team foul. So actually the 10th personal team foul, excuse me. So from here on out, the Buckeyes will be shooting not 1 free throw, but 2 free throws for the remainder of this game.
Yeah, I don't think Coach McGarity liked that foul because he knows it stops the clock and it gives Ohio State an opportunity to cut the lead down while the clock is stopped. If you're the Army's coach, you want this clock to keep going so they can get out here and get on the buses and head back to West Point.
So Kate Kraft will go to the free throw line. Kraft has struggled from the free throw line this season, knocking down 65% of her shots. She is golden on that first attempt. It is now a 5-point edge for Army. And Kraft is able to convert both of her free throws. Now a 4-point edge for the young ladies from West Point.
Ohio State with the full court pressure. Got to pick up the pace. See how Army takes it.
They're going to try to get a turnover, and a timeout, smartly, is going to be called by Brianna Johnson.
Another good defensive possession by the Lady Buckeyes. Made Coach McGarity burn a timeout that he might need here in a few minutes.
So a 30-second timeout. 1:48 to go here in the second half. Army with a 4-point edge. Good press by Ohio State, forcing the timeout. Ferguson and Kraft with the double team that time. And if Ohio State is going to want to get back into this ball game, George, they're going to need to force turnovers, and a lot of them in a hurry.
Definitely. Army is just a little too disciplined offensively, so you got to try to rush them, get them out of their pace, and see if they can make some careless mistakes and turn the ball over. As you see, the last possession, she dribbled up the sideline right into the trap, had to burn the timeout.
3 players for Ohio State have gone into double figures. Amherst Alston with 14, Raven Ferguson with 10, and Martina Ellerby with 10 points in this game for the Scarlet and Gray. Kelsey Minato being guarded by Amherst Alston. We talked about that guard matchup early on in this game. Minato has certainly delivered tonight. It's been a quiet night for Alston. 14 points for the sophomore from Kenton. Shot missed, loose ball, and it will stay with Army. Alston did her best to get the ball back into the court of play, but it rattles out of bounds. But 1 second on the shot clock for the Black Knights. Ball inbounded. Minato will throw it up, and Moore is able to block it. She'll motor on down the court, and she is able to convert at the other end. A timeout called by first-year Ohio State head coach Kevin McGuff. And just like on Sunday, George, we got ourselves a close ball game here. The Buckeyes able to get the turnover, the defensive stop, and then turn it into points.
Like we mentioned before, these last few possessions by the Ohio State Buckeyes have been on point. Ladies are rotating to the shot. They're getting a piece of the balls, deflections, out of bounds. Great play by Reese Moore.
So now the Buckeyes find themselves down by 2 with 1:19 to go here in the second half. And this is looking almost like a mirror image of that Gonzaga game. We keep bringing it up. As we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Ohio State was down by as much as 18 in that game. They found a way to rally back in that game, only to see Gonzaga win on a last-second shot as time expired in that game. The jumper hit by Shaniqua Niles, game-winning jumper at the buzzer.
Off the bench.
59-58 victory over Ohio State on Sunday. So now Ohio State looking to reverse its fortunes, and a technical foul apparently was called. So Alston getting to shoot a couple of free throws and makes both of them.
Wow. I'm just as surprised you are.
We must have missed something during the timeout.
Coach McGarity maybe have some kind words for the referees.
Well, at any rate, we got ourselves a tie ball game, partner. 1:19 to go here in regulation.
Ohio State with the man-to-man.
Watch this matchup right here. Minato and Alston.
Switch to pick and rolls.
So Minato gives it off. Army looking to regain the lead. Buckeyes looking for another defensive stop. Minato not able to convert off the glass. And a foul is going to be called against Ohio State on the inside. I think they're going to get Kate Kraft on this call.
Very heady play by Kelsey Minato. She saw the switch with the Reese Moore on her. She just put her head down and tried to take her off the dribble, and she got the foul.
So now Amy Ortner will go to the free throw line. Ortner, a sophomore from Slatington, Pennsylvania. 78% free throw shooter. Able to rattle that one home. So it's now a 1-point advantage for Army at the moment. Ortner receives the basketball. The free throw is missed. 1-point lead for the Black Knights. Alston and the Buckeyes looking to change that. Under 45 seconds to play here in regulation. Kraft on the left wing. Back in the hands of Alston. She has been the go-to scorer for Ohio State. Looking to make a big play right here. Alston looking to drive, Euro step, and able to draw the foul.
Hey, scorers know how to score.
Dave McGarity is beside himself on the Army bench right now. It looked initially like Alston was trapped in the middle, but she was able to get just enough contact here.
Call that like an air dribble where she split the double team and able to get free to get a shot up. And got hit on the elbow.
Rattles home the first free throw. We're all tied at 56 now. Alston with the second free throw. That one goes as well. It's a 1-point lead for Ohio State, 57-56. And Coach McGarity will call a timeout to rally his troops from West Point.
Got a good one, huh?
Yep, 26 and a half to go here in the second half, and it has been a back and forth affair here in Columbus. Again, Army looking for their first win against a Big Ten opponent since January of 1979. Meanwhile, an Ohio State program that is continuing to develop, continuing to mature under a first-year head coach in Kevin McGuff. They're just trying to get back into the win column. We've been talking about the heartbreak they suffered on Sunday. Nothing would be more worse than to go through that same type of heartbreak again in a close ball game like this, George.
Definitely. Wins and losses are all a part about development, especially when you're a new staff, and they always got to try to preach finishing games and just try to get off a snide, and that's what they're trying to do now. Two losses in a row is definitely not good for the program at this point.
So let's reset here. 26 and a half seconds to go here in regulation. There is half a second difference between the shot clock and the game clock. And the possession arrow, it should be noted, favors Army.
I don't know if that matters too much because Army's going to get it down to the last few seconds of the shot clock before they shoot.
So Army will get the basketball. Do or die time right here. It'll be Brianna Johnson who inbounds it for the Black Knights. Buckeyes with a 1-point lead. They get it in the hands of Minato, being guarded by Alston. Under 15 seconds to play. Minato trying to drive. She'll drive towards the hoop, not able to get it to go. Ellerby comes away with a defensive rebound. And Ferguson is going to be fouled.
Good D by Ellerby. They switched to pick and roll. Minato saw the mismatch. He went to the hole. Ellerby used their long arms to get a piece of the ball and not get a good shot from Minato.
Kelsey Minato has had a fantastic game for Army tonight. 27 points for the sophomore from Huntington Beach, California. She's been lighting it up from beyond the arc and even shown some prowess on the inside of the arc. But that time, she was just not able to get enough glass on the drive. Raven Ferguson, meanwhile, with the made free throw. And that will certainly help. It's now a 2-point advantage for Ohio State. The Buckeyes 5.3 seconds away from improving to 7-5 on the young 2013-2014 season. It's now a 3-point lead. Army will have to hurry in order to tie this game. They get it in bounds. It's fed ahead to Schretzman, who will fire it up. And Schretzman stepped out of bounds.
A little too overzealous when she got the ball. I don't think she knew how much time was on the clock, so maybe she could have took a few dribbles.
I was going to say, George, looked like she launched that ball just a little bit too soon. So now Ellerby will try to inbound it. She'll get it into Kraft, and that ought about do it. So 5 days after suffering a heartbreaking defeat at the hands of Gonzaga, Ohio State is able to come back in this game. They're able to come away with a 59-56 win over the Army Black Knights tonight here in Columbus. What a game, partner.
Good win. You take them how you can get them, but anytime you can close a game out, good win by the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Ohio State improves to 7-5 on the season. Meanwhile, Army drops to 7-3 with the loss here tonight in the capital city of the Buckeye State. This copyrighted broadcast is presented by Authority of the Big Ten Conference and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Big Ten Conference. Our final score here tonight, Ohio State 59, Army 56. Former broadcast